I'm obsessed with my artisan hi-hats. The hi-hat is really important for me and give me the ability to change anything. At most gigs I play on, I use artisans, and I move around from 14s to 15s, but my obsession is definitely with the 15s.
First of all, thanks for being with Planet Drum, Karl. We are with Karl Brazil in Rome for this Robbie Williams concert. And thank you, first of all.
Thanks very much. It's great to be here at this very hot, sticky gig. I think it's starting to cool down a bit now, but it's been so hot today. We soundchecked yesterday, and I think I went through 2 t-shirts, but it's good. Weather's great. We've eaten very well. We've had a couple of days off here, so we've had a good chance to look around, and we're very excited because there's a great crowd gathering out there who've been waiting out there for nearly 4 hours. So I think we need to go on with some buckets of water first. But I'm looking forward to it, and this is my first drum interview with an Italian drum magazine. So thanks very much for coming along.
We are honored. Let's start from the beginning. You come from a family of musicians. You've been introduced to a wide range of influences at an early age, and this helped you in being very adaptable and most of all versatile drummer. Why, at the end, you choose the drum as an instrument to express your personality?
Well, you're correct with all of that. I come from a family of musical people. My dad's still playing now. He plays guitar in a band. I was so young when I started playing drums. It wasn't like I made a conscious decision to play drums, but Dad used to play a lot of records around the house, and I was heavily influenced by the feel of drums and the feel of music, groove. So I would be listening to bands like, maybe Dire Straits, Level 42, the Eagles, Toto, Jeff Porcaro was one of my main influences, Little Feat. So a lot of bands that had drummers that were song players, groove players, and I used just to feel the pulse when I was young. And then before I knew it, a little kit turned up in the house that Dad had bought for me, and Mum. So I started playing drums, and I just had a love and a burn for it from an early age. So nothing else. When I listened to music as a child, all I'd listen to is the drums for a while. So I was so excited about drumming and what it was to be a drummer. And you'd look at magazines and setups, and it's just the drum community is very exciting anyway. Everyone to talk about drums is far more exciting about bass guitar, for example. No, I'm joking. But it's as a young kid, I just loved drums, the setup, the gear, everything about it, and the sound that they make became a natural thing. I feel like I've definitely got a natural feel for playing drums, so it just kind of was a natural progression, really. So and I still, every time I go on stage now, every night, or whether I'm in the studio, I feel like I did when I was a kid. It just feels great, and I think about nothing else, which is I guess it's the same for anyone that plays sport, golf or football. When you're on the pitch or doing what you do, you think of nothing else, and it's a nice headspace to be in, really.
As far as you do this kind of job, which is a job for you now, with your heart, everything you do with your heart is always well done.
Thank you. Well, I think I'm known for being a passionate player. I pull some of the worst faces that you've ever seen, but I can't help it because I live in the song, and for the sound, having the right sound is really important to me. So when I'm behind the kit, I just sink into the drums and live in between those shells for an hour and a half or whatever it is. But yeah, I take a lot of pride in what I do, and even though it's a job, I'm an employee. I don't think of it like that. I feel very lucky to be doing what I'm doing, and it feels I always dreamed of doing gigs this size and travelling around with such great people, and it's living the dream, you know. So you have to make sure you appreciate that all the time, and don't forget what you set out to do. But saying that, you know, we did some small gigs a few years ago with Robbie, some small club gigs, and I did some with James Blunt as well. Doing small gigs are great. In some ways, mate, they can be more nerve-wracking because people are right on top of you. Tonight it'll be just a sea of people. I think I'm guessing that will be about 30,000 tonight, something like that. And that's a big old audience. That's, for Robbie Williams, that's every day. You know, it's incredible. But about playing now, and I don't mean that in a big-headed way. The only thing I would get nervous about is technology, because I play to click track all the time. So if the click track goes down or something like that, then they're the only sort of hairy moments or moments that make you a bit But as far as playing the show, knowing what I'm doing, I'm very confident because I've been doing it so long, and at my age there should be no mistakes.
Are you playing on click track on every tracks?
Tonight, some of the show is to click track, and there's multiple reasons for that. I keep pointing over there because that's where the stage is. Sorry, the stage is behind the camera. But we have a huge production up there with a big screen behind us. So we're running a whole click track with time codes for the screens and everything to be in sync. Now, not all the show is clicked. There's a few numbers that are free because Robbie, he likes to come in his own time, and we can have a bit more of a jam, and it can be a bit more spontaneous. But some of the songs where we need certain production or strings, maybe we have a bit of track running just so it sounds like a record. But I'd say it's probably 60-40, 60% click. But I enjoy both, and not playing to click is a good test of your own body clock, because playing with James Blunt, there's no click track. So I always sing the choruses to myself before I start a song, because it gives you a good benchmark of where you need to be in the song. So I think I've got good at doing that now. That's one of my fortes is making sure I get a buzz out of making sure it's the right tempo from the body clock, and then checking my reference, and if it's there, I'm like, yes, still got it. It's good to be able to do that.
By the way, I've got some pictures of you here in Rome with James Blunt.
The last concert. Where was that at?
It was at Auditorium, remember? Auditorium Parco della Musica. The Cavo.
A few months ago. So it's a great show. It's really good.
I will send them.
Oh, please do. I hope they're all right. Yeah, I'd like to say that James is now having a bit of time off, but that was a great tour. He's a great artist to work with, very musical, and in similar ways to Robbie, puts 110% into his performance. He's a great performer. Although very different musical styles, the band is quite small with James, so every finer detail is heard, you know, which is important. And with tonight's band, I mean, tonight's a great lineup. We've got Guy Chambers, who's back on playing piano, and Robbie's MD, musical director, and of course the writer of most of Robbie's hits, Jerry Meehan, who you just met a minute ago, the Plant Eater. Jerry's a great bass player, plays with Roxy Music. Brian Ferry, who's done a lot of amazing stuff. Gary Nuttall on guitar, played with Robbie for 20 years, longest standing member of the band. Tom Longworth, who's a friend of mine from Birmingham, he's coming as the rock and roll guy. You know Slash? Well, I call him Slosh. Tom's great. You'll see him performing tonight. He's a wonderful player and a great stage presence. Really good. We've also got the brass section. We've got the Atlantic Horns, they're called, from London. Mark, Mike and Ben. Great bunch of lads, really good players, great dancers too. And then we have Sarah Jane Skeet, Niana Holly, Dinosh Bennett and Craig Stein, which is all the BVs, and that heavy footwork. They dance all over the place, so it's a lot of bodies on stage, and it's a lot to look at. And then of course the main man himself, who's one of the best performers I've ever played drums behind. He's just amazing. He's like, I think he's like the modern day Elvis. You'll see him, he just works the crowd and the stage so hard. I watch him sometimes. I think he just needs that. He needs 2 days off, maybe, because you'll see how much he puts into a show. That's why his band are very visual and energetic, and there's no hiding up there. You gotta perform.
It's not only a concert.
No, it's a show. It's an absolute. It's the let me entertain you show. You know, it's exactly what it says on the ticket. You were asking me about where I started, and I went to music school. When I left comprehensive school, I went to a place called Warsaw College of Music and Arts, which was great because I met lots of people there. I had a great drum teacher, a guy called Steve Palmer, who's the brother of Karl Palmer from Emerson, Lake and Palmer. And he was great. He showed me some good, because I'm kind of a self-taught player. He showed me some wonderful tips, and put me into Ronnie Scott's jazz club as a depth drummer for him for a short time. But it was really beneficial in the sort of sticking and jazz side of things, because I'm not a reader. I'm also left-handed and left-footed. Basically I had a year of doing Ronnie Scott's, and that led to doing other gigs. So I went on to play for a local reggae artist called Bitty McLean, and then I played with Ruby Turner. I played with who was after that? I went on to do some pop idol stuff, and then after that I started doing a lot of studio stuff. So the studio stuff went from anything to Christina Aguilera to Westlife, to Take That, to Jason Mraz. So what's happened in a short space of time is I've got to play with lots of different artists and listen to lots of different music, and I have to change my styles a lot as well. There's also a band that I play with called Feeder, which is full-on rock trio, which is great. So I've managed to get a lot of styles in over the year. The last thing I did with the swing tour with Robbie, which was, again, something else that was another challenge. But I love that. I think that's what all drummers should relish, is if you're a studio session drummer.
And how can you maintain your personality, changing so many different artists and?
I changed my hairstyle and my clothes. Well, it's actually, there's a bit of truth in that. I think when you're in a rock band or when you're playing jazz, it's always important to put your mark on it. I've definitely got a sound and a way I approach things, and being left-handed and the way I go around the kit, I've definitely got a way of playing that I think's recognisable. I hope it is. But I definitely have. I think every session drummer has to change their style a little bit. Even the top guys in the world must have to change their sound for each record. I can't use. I like a low-fat snare, but I can't use that on everything I do. I've got to be a bit more open-minded. So that's why I've got that setup up there. It's to compensate for 20 years of music that Robbie's done. So, but I do. I've never stopped thinking. You never stop learning, basically. And the swing tour that I did 2 years back, was it last year? That was the biggest education for a while for me, because I had to really think about what I was doing. All the gigs I've done have been quite heavy on the kick, and it was the complete opposite. And I think I had a kit when I was 2, so it was like a baby kit. But by the time I'd grown up, I was 5, 6. I was already playing like this. So, yeah, so and it definitely feels. I'm left-footed for football and other things, but it feels strange to play like this. And I think I'm just so used to it now. But I do have a few habits that I can't change. Like I lead round the kit with my left hand, so Degadum goes inside instead of Degadum. I have to go that way, else it feels off balance. And the same with playing 16s on the hat. I have to come inside, like under the right hand. So it's there's a few things that probably a bit awkward, but I think that kind of makes you have a bit of character in your playing. That's and it's definitely too late to change. No, I can't. I'm gonna stick to being right-handed. Although I'd love to be able to set up that way, but it's always good when you're sharing gigs as well. If you're doing gigs with other drummers, that you can keep the kit the same way. Yeah, but that's maybe I'll try it one day. But I'm happy where I am for now.
Well, let me take the chance to talk about your drum kit. Oh, actually, first of all, I want to ask you something about your cymbals. you're a Sabian endorser, and how did you start working with Sabian?
I started working with Sabian. Gosh, I can't remember how many years ago it is, but it's a long time now. I'm gonna guess it maybe it's over 10 years, maybe 15 years. But basically, I was playing in a few bands, and then I had a little quiet spell, and a guy called Jerome was working for Sabian at the time, and he got me a 5 cymbal deal with Sabian. And do you know what? I wasn't actually doing a gig at the time, and he just said, I really think you're a good little player, and I want to look after you and keep an eye on you. And from there, it's like a relationship you form, you know, a family type thing. And the cymbals that Sabian produce now have just got better and better. I mean, they've always been good, and it's 15 years ago at least. So from then on, it sort of spurred me on to do other things and other gigs, and it was nice to be able to ring Sabian and say I'm playing with so and so, and let them know that they're back to good horse, if you know what I mean. I mean, God, I can't thank Sabian enough. I've got quite a setup up there. I've just got some new cymbals today. It's like Christmas Day. It's hot for Christmas Day. We got some new artisan crashes today. We've got 18 very big cymbals. 18, 20, 19. I think that Clint, is that right? 18, 20, 19. Yes, artisan crashes. We've got. He always looks like that. Then we've got 12-inch Sabian AA splash, which I only hit once in the show. Don't normally have splashes, but it does have an appearance. Then we've got a 22-inch heavy ride, legacy ride. Then I've got a 21-inch artisan light ride. Then I've got a new China, Zen China, well high at the back. And I've got some 15-inch artisan hats, which are great. I mean, I'm struggling to use anything else other than artisan. Artisan and legacy series, all for me. I love them. Very musical cymbals, quite dark, but not too intrusive. They just sound really lovely. So yes, thank you, Sabian, for my presence today.
Do you use them same kit also on studio, or you got different series?
For studio, I would change the hats to the legacy hats, because there's 14 or 15 legacy hats. They're a bit more dull, not too bright, and producers seem to like, and they sit in the mix nice. So I'd use legacy hats or artisan hats, mainly legacies, and I would use legacy crashes in the studio because they're a bit quieter as well. So yeah, and it's as simple as that, really. Nothing too over the top. Along with Sabian, I'm using Gretsch drums, who I've been with for years. I've got a Brooklyn kit up there, which is fantastic. It's thinner shells, but we've put die-cast tubes on. It sings, it's great. We've got 22 by 14, 24 by 14, 14 floor, thank you very much. 14 floor, 13 rack, 16 floor, 18 floor. And then I've got a 14 by 5.5 brass hammered snare. And I've got a 14 by 5.5, another brass hammered snare, but better in the heat, I find. And I've got Emperor X Remo heads on those snares, Emperor coated on the toms, P3s, power stroke 3s, coated power strokes on the bass drums. On the kick drums, sorry, not bass drums. And then I have a Roland SPDS-X with 2 mesh head pads, 2 D-drum triggers, kick and snare on the smaller drums. Vic Firth sticks. They've very kindly done me my own stick, the Robbie Williams brand. This is my son Finley's handprint, and this is my signature here. So I'm fully equipped up there. Porter and Davis as well. I'm using Porter and Davis stools, which are fantastic. I said before, it's the best kick up the bum I've ever had. And I think that covers everything. So I'm well equipped and very grateful. Oh, DW hardware, mustn't forget. Robust new hardware. So yeah, between all those people, I'm very well looked after and spoilt. But it's top-notch touring gear. It gets packed in those trucks and travels all over the world. So it's rock steady stuff. Very lucky. I think I've remembered everyone.
we know that we were talking before that you also are a clinician, so you make clinics. What is your approach in teaching, and what would you like to see in a student that you think may help him or her to be a good drummer?
I've never really thought of myself as a teacher, although I have done a bit of drum teaching. I'm just not that academic with being able to do music theory, so all I've ever been able to put across, and I do it in drum clinics as well, is sound, feel, timekeeping, and then placement is a big thing. Discipline of where to put things in songs. That's something I think we all mature into a little bit, because when I was young, sometimes I used to get up and play the drums with my dad's band, and I'd put like this crazy fill in the first, going into the first chorus, just to like, hey everybody, I'm a drummer, you know. So it's that sort of thing you learn a little bit. And Jeff Piccaro's a great educator of that on everything he's played. That's the other thing I always say to people is listen to records, because listening to records as a kid, CDs now, or MP3s, they're just listening to bands and music is just more educational. I used to come home from school and get an hour's play, a 6 o'clock curfew. I used to play drums to a different album every day after school, and that could have been anything from, oh gosh, probably half of the stuff I mentioned earlier, but that was a good education, because I used to play to Journey a lot, actually, Steve Smith, and it was just good stuff to play. And the sound that was on the records as well, if you're playing along to them and you copy the parts, it makes the drums sound great as well. So that was a lot of fun, and it taught me a lot. So when I do drum clinics now, I try and I play along to records that I've done. So I try to show a bit of versatility in style, and I try to show a bit of discipline, and then I do a couple of crazy little things just to blow the cobwebs out, because we're all fans of chops and great fills and stuff. Everyone's got a few chops, so clinics are the only place I sort of am allowed to do that. Really, I can't do it on gigs, because a guy will be looking around at me. What are you doing? Calm down. And so you got to do everything in the right place. Everything's got its own moment. Do you know, if I'm really honest with you, I've been that flat out, busy, that any time I get off is family time, really, because you can also burn yourself out. I mean, it's not that I don't need to practice, but if you do so many drum clinics in a year, so many sound checks, so many gigs with different people, so much studio stuff, you kind of get to do a bit of everything. So the only thing I'll do, I have a pad in the dressing room, some sticks. I'll warm up and stuff, but playing tonight's gig is a real workout, and yeah, it's not that I'm not bored of it or anything. I just feel like rest is as important as playing, you know, and it really is. And doing drum clinics, I did 2 days in the studio last week with Feeder, and we were jamming, so that's enough for me. I like to play with somebody rather than just sitting there by myself, because I think it's just more beneficial to playing. I've played that many gigs now that I really appreciate the time off as well, which at the moment there's not much of that. So. But yeah, that's my honest answer. Now there's going to be a line check, then there will be probably 15 minutes downtime, then we will get changed. Then there'll be a warm-up with the whole band where Robbie does vocals, Guy plays piano, and everyone gets together, and it's like a little G-up before the show. Then we'll have a huddle where Robbie does says a few words, and we do a little dance. It's a secret dance. And then we'll walk to the stage together, G each other up, and then the intro music comes on, and off we go. Okay. So I hope you enjoy it. It's gonna be a good one. The weather's picking up. Yeah, I'll be the one soaking, closing my eyes, trying to get the sweat out. But no, it's good. I'm really looking forward to it, and thanks for coming down and saying hello.
Thank you very much for being with Planet Drum and with us, and hope to see you soon.
Definitely. Thanks again. Cheers.
You come from a family of musicians. You've been introduced.
Thank you, Jerry. It's the water boy.
Here it is.
It's Jerry Meehan, bass man. My wingman. Very good bass player indeed, as you'll see later.
Water, yeah. Anyone want a bay leaf? We'll give them just the water before the gig. It's a bay leaf. Good for stews. Good for stews. Yeah. Three, 2 hours long. Oh, lovely.
Thanks, Jerry. That's a great show. It's really good.
I will send them.
Oh, please do. I hope they're all right. Yeah, I'd like to say that James is, and I was playing. That's Guy Chambers, everybody. This is Guy Chambers, the hitmaker, the musical director. I was just talking about you, actually. I just heard a giggle from behind. So yeah, to